All right, Coach, how's your bracket right now after the craziest amount of upsets, we think, in the history of the NCAA tournament?
It's not good. It's not good. I've got a bracket. I've got a bracket with my grandkids and my kids, and they expect me to be really smart on this stuff. And the Big Ten quite wasn't what I thought it was going to be. But, yeah, there have been a lot of upsets.
Yeah, and that's putting it lightly. One of those upsets, how the NCAA terms it, 5 seeds or lower, was UCLA over 6 seed BYU. You've been in that situation in that locker room after a tournament loss with the BYU team. What is the finality like for a team like that, and how do you help your team process that?
You know, you put so much time and effort and thought, emotions, everything is vested in that. And so it's only natural when things don't go well or when you lose a game like that, it's going to be emotional. I mean, that's what it is. That's part of the experience, part of the process. It's not fun. I think over a few days, you come to the realization that, you know, we're going to be okay, and you start thinking about going forward. But no, it's tough. It's really tough. And I think you're kind of on edge anyway when you play in these situations, in these tournaments. You've vested everything into this for the last 3 or 4 months. And of course, this year, with COVID and whatnot, it's so untypical of what I ever went through. So I can't imagine dealing with all of that as well. But it's hard. It's hard. It's difficult. You set your goals. You've been in a situation. They played well. They had a great year. They expected to win that game. I mean, there was no question. The staff did. The players did. It didn't happen. And they'll go back and figure out why. And I think maybe a lot more credit should be given to USC, though it wasn't obviously BYU's greatest shooting night, but it was one of those things that you'll reflect on it, but you can't stay in it too long. You got to move forward because there's recruiting and building for next year's team. And Mark's done a great job of that from year 1 to 2, and I'm sure he'll do a great job of it from year 2 to 3.
And we'll talk about that in a moment, but more on the game. UCLA did what Boise State and USC did to BYU, which was really pressure the handoffs. But BYU didn't take advantage by reversing the ball or getting to the rim as quickly. And then defensively, this was a winnable game. BYU offensively didn't shoot it well from 3 of 17, and then from the free throw line, 9 of 16 for 56%. So the shooting was a little disappointing, but this was a game BYU could have won had they played just a little bit better.
Yeah, I agree with that, though. I will tell you this. I watched that, and usually I won't watch a game live, and I'll tape it and then watch it in 30 minutes, but this was a game I actually watched live and had to deal with commercials and things, which I don't normally like to deal with. But it was, Nick Cronin did a really good job in preparing. And I think the advantage for them was beating a Michigan State team the night before and working things through. Sometimes they're having to play a quick turnaround. Well, these are young 18, 19, 20, 20. They're not going to be tired, okay? The nerves may get to them a little bit, but they're not going to be tired. And I thought what you said, Jeremy, is that not only did they deal with the handoff, but they switched 2 through 5 probably 80% of that game. And there wasn't a seam to get into, like Barcello and Everett love to get in those little seams when they come off of the ball screens, but it wasn't there. And you had 6'6", 6'6", 6'8", 6'8", and so they could switch everything. And it was a really, really solid job defensively by UCLA. That being said, you're right. BYU had opportunities, but they got BYU to play in a hurry. And when you get in that situation, Harms, maybe Barcello was on the bench in an NC2A game, but there weren't very many people on that team that had an experience. Now, mind you, they had played Gonzaga. They had tournament games. They've had some really good at San Diego State, at Utah State. But still, that being said, the NC2A is different. And you can lay a little of this on the fact that there wasn't a great deal of NC2A experience there that had been through this and knew what was going to happen. And I think UCLA actually having a game to play beforehand settled them in. They're not a great offensive team, but they have guys that are alike, and they're long and lengthy, and certainly they shot the 3 ball a lot better than BYU did, and that ends up being the difference in the game.
Former BYU basketball head coach Steve Cleveland with us on BYU Sports Nation, looking back at BYU's run into the 2021 NCAA tournament. Coach, BYU's been to the NCAA tournament 30 times, which is more than 331 other Division I men's basketball teams, yet they have had notable struggles winning games there. What's the key to finding success once you get to the tournament and winning more games for BYU?
You know, and I can just tell you my experience, and there have been a lot better coaches than me at that institution. So I will just tell you my experience is that sometimes I found myself maybe overcoaching. McKelly-West and I always had this conversation after we won the Mountain West that year and won the tournament. And he said, Coach, we were just chatting one time, this was a couple of years ago, and he says, you think we went too hard the night before, you know, in terms of preparing for the game? I mean, we were so jacked and so pumped up about playing. We got in there and scrimmaging and want to do some stuff live. And the next thing you know, for a couple of days before that game, we lost a little something there. And so I think your preparation has to be a blend of, yes, having a game plan and getting a feel for what the floor feels like and shooting there and everything. But I think a lot of the things that you do off the court in terms of getting guys mentally ready and talking through assignments, watching film, watching your success. I think that was one of the things. I mean, we lost two really close games in the NCAA tournament to UConn and Syracuse, games we both could have won. But I thought the difference between them and when we played Cincinnati is that we knew who we were and we knew that we were pretty good. And it was one of those things that I think I focused at times early on too much on the opponent rather than saying, here's the things we're really good at. These are the things that we need to do. And it's a different focus. And I love that conversation that I had with McKelly on that because he was right. I said, that Cincinnati game, it was tied at half and then we didn't have anything left. But I think the one thing as a staff, we figured, let's focus on us. Yes, we're going to have a game prep, but let's focus on the things that we're really good. Make that mindset so positive. And listen, Coach Pope seems like somebody that truly understands motivation, getting guys ready. So it's not a knock on that. I'm just telling you my own personal experience. What's happened in the past, I don't know. I mean, sometimes teams are just better. And depending on your seed, I think a lot of times BYU hasn't been a fifth or sixth. They've had a couple teams maybe that had lower seeds, but most people that have played for BYU have been 9, 10, 11, those seeds, the higher seeds where you're always the underdog in most cases. But I think for me, the preparation of the mind and getting guys confident is really, really important. And from there, I don't have an explanation for why BYU hasn't had more success. I can just tell you that in our situation, the next two games those were both winnable games for us. I thought we played well. I thought our minds were right. And that helped me and our staff in preparing them.
Now we look ahead to next year. And at this point last year, I don't think any of us thought that what happened would happen, which was that BYU would be back in the tourney and be a 6th seed. It took transfers, 2 of them notably, Matt Harms and Brandon Averett. Now, Matt Harms already said, I'm done. Brandon Averett and Alex Barcelo have not. BYU needs point guard or guards. So hopefully those 2 guys come back. But if not, is there any doubt in your mind that Mark Pope will put BYU in at least a bubble-ish situation next year, despite how much it feels like maybe right now BYU wouldn't be?
No, I mean, I have great respect for Mark. And I think he understands the transfer portal. I think in this time of COVID and what this group has done, taking advantage of every resource they have, I'm sure they've not just started working on that. I think this is a staff that's been working on this for weeks and months, even though you're still coaching during a season. I mean, your eye is always on recruiting. And when things play out, that transfer portal is going to be full. And they'll have an opportunity to get back to work like they did. I mean, if they get Barcelo and Everett back, those are 2 pretty good gets. And I wondered what was going to happen. I think they've got enough size. They've got people coming off missions. They have young people that, Spencer. I didn't know who Spencer Johnson was. You start talking about different people, and go through that lineup. Lohner is a freshman. This is going to be, honestly, if those 2 guards come back, this is going to be a better team than last year's. And no disrespect to Harms, and he played a great role, and he was a great fit for BYU. But there will be a better basketball team on the floor with those two guards coming back. If they don't come back, then the road's going to be a little more difficult, and they're going to have to get busy really quickly. But if they come back, they're looking at getting right back into the NCAA tournament, adding some spots. I think you're going to see a really, really good basketball team.
Yeah, sure thing. And Gavin Baxter to boot. We look forward to that. Coach?
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
Great to catch up with you. Thanks for your insights into the NCAA tournament. Such a unique situation for BYU this year in the COVID situation, but better things ahead. Thanks again.
Yeah, congratulations, guys, on everything. How you covering it? You're always doing a great job. Take care.
Steve Cleveland on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. Deseret First, you know why we show how. Always appreciate talking with him and his experience.